one of the questions that I had for him was, what's the most common thing people are asking right now? I really liked the answer he gave. Remember, like and subscribe. Watch all the way to the end. There's some great information in there. What What is one of the major things you see? I know I know typically when you're having these conversations, you hear recurring themes happen at regular intervals, depending on where we are on the continuum or um, where we are frequency wise. What's the most common one you hear currently with people that you speak to?
Realizing that while yes, belief systems do create reality, there's much more to it than just that, and it's much more nuanced than how it has commonly been portrayed. Right now, we are finding that a very powerful theme your people are going through and are experiencing is the recognition that there are levels of perception higher than belief systems. And belief systems creating your reality does not always mean your belief systems are in alignment with what is. For example, you can create a belief about something that will create your reality, absolutely, but it does not mean the belief itself is accurate. And it does not mean that the belief is in alignment with what is. A common example we give is the Crusaders who genocided the occupants of the Middle East. They believed they were doing God's will. Their beliefs certainly created their reality, but it does not mean that their belief was right. It does not mean that their belief was accurate with the nature of reality. So many people are beginning to wake up to this idea that there's much more to this idea of belief systems creating a reality than oftentimes is spoken about. So we are now discussing this with a great deal of people whom we interact with, so you can become more strategic with your belief systems, so you can become more discerning with yourselves and the beliefs that you're holding on to, and so you can ultimately let go of dependence on belief. Belief systems are useful because belief systems reframe your perspective so you can unlock certain possibilities, so you can see things in a particular way, so you can create certain changes in your body. But it's only representing the fourth level, the mental level. The level of spirit, the fifth level, which is vibrationally above the mental one, is where you see things as clearly as possible, with as little bias as possible. In a sense, you can see things from the perspective of what you would call the divine mind, the source mind. It's a subtle dimension of self, because that dimension of self is not dependent on the five senses. So it's not as if it's a dimension of self you can think about. It's not as if it's a dimension of self you can experience with your sense organs. It's a whole other level altogether. So right now we are assisting people in really accessing that level so they can know that level, and so they do not have to be bound to the realm of intellect. They can be free from that, and they can use the intellect like a tool rather than seeing it as the divine source of everything, which is how many people identify with their intellects because of the way intellectualism is promoted in your culture. It's rewarded and is seen as the highest, but it is not. So that's one of the major things we are seeing coming up in our conversations with people. And it's also what we are particularly emphasizing in many of our conversations. So you can evolve to a higher place and see things in a way that represents what is. Because what you see with your senses is completely inaccurate. It works, it's functional, it helps you survive, helps you navigate, but it is a complete misrepresentation of what is. You cannot necessarily see with your body what is, but that source level, that divine mind, can. But again, it's a whole other level of experience that you can really only experience directly. You can't really think about it. You can't really imagine it. because it is above the imagination. It is above the thought realm. It can only be accessed through the idea of letting go of the known, of letting go of your identity, of letting go of your belief, of letting go of your narratives, of letting go of your bias, of letting go of your opinions. When you have become empty of all of these things, you go through what is known as ego death, and you, in a sense, cross an abyss. You die before you die, because when you physically die, your ego crumbles. When you let go of all of those things willingly, then you get to meet the divine now, instead of at the end of your physical life. And when you go through that process willingly now while you're alive, you merge with that fifth level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And that's what we are encouraging people to explore. We're guiding people through this so you can have that experience early, so you can truly live heaven on earth. Does that make sense?
This makes complete sense.
All right.
I know we're at time. I just I will go back over this and rewatch it a few times.
Excellent, excellent. We thank you sincerely for this wonderful co-creative interaction we have had together this day. And as always, our species, unconditional love and appreciation to you and to all members of your human family.
Thank you. Shabbai.